Hi again, Mark here from Talkingbass. This week we're going to take a look at rhythm, the absolute basics of rhythm. We're going to look at bars, time signatures, tempo, a basic set of rhythms, and how to both play and count them. These are all things that every bass player should be well versed in as a member of the rhythm section. And if you want to be a good bass player with a good sense of groove, you're going to need to understand rhythm. This lesson is taken from Module 1 of the Groove Trainer course, which is now available over at the Talkingbass website. Groove Trainer for bass guitar is in two parts. Module 1 contains 17 lessons on all aspects of bass groove playing. We work on the essential aspects of rhythm, harmony, drum beats, technique, and much, much more. Then in Module 2, we put all of this into practice with 60 progressive bass grooves working up from incredibly sparse whole note lines to syncopated eighth note riffs. Each groove features coaching from yours truly as we work through the technique and rhythmic hurdles as well as the inner details of the groove by way of the harmony and the interaction with the drum beat. So enjoy this lesson and follow the link below for more information on the course. Enjoy. So first things first, Western music is generally divided up into bars or measures. I guess most of you know about bars, but if you don't, just think of the recurring pulse to which you would usually tap your foot. So that pulse is generally going to cycle a particular number of beats. So you might count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Each cycle is called a bar. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is a bar, and the number of beats in each bar is signified by the time signature. A time signature has two numbers. The top number, which is the numerator, is the number of beats in a bar. The bottom number, the denominator, is the type of beat. So that could be quarter notes, half notes, eighth notes, all of which we'll look at in a second. But the key to understanding time signatures is to think of them like a fraction. 4/4 is actually 4 quarters. 3/4 is 3 quarters. 4/2 would be 4 halves. 6/8 is 6/8. But like I said, we'll look at those rhythms in a second. If we want to count some bars of music out, we also need to know the tempo or speed of the piece. You might see Italian terms such as adagio or allegro or andante, but in more modern music, you're more likely to see a metronome marking like quarter note equals 120. So for 120 beats per minute, we're going to have a pulse that's going to be somewhere around 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 60 beats per minute would be half that, so 1, 2, 3, 4. A faster tempo, like 220 beats per minute, would be a quick pulse like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the basic background to musical rhythm, but that's only the general pulse. That's how we count bars. We haven't added any individual notes into the mix yet. Next, we need to look at some rhythms. Now, I'm going to introduce each rhythm in turn and use a single note of C at the 3rd fret of the A string for demonstration. We'll work through a succession of rhythmic drills where you can just play that single C note using the rhythms provided. That way, we're looking at the rhythm in isolation. All of these drills will be in 4/4 for ease of understanding and at a slow to medium tempo. First things first, we have the most basic of rhythms, the whole note. Now this is 4 beats in length, so it lasts a whole bar of 4/4. It's an empty oval shape with no stem, and we count it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we play the note, and then we just count out 4 beats. Next up, we have the half note. This is 2 beats in length, so it's half the length of a whole note, obviously, and it's an empty oval shape with a stem. For one half note, we're going to count 1, 2. Simple, so just 2 beats. And we can play 2 half notes in one bar of 4/4, which would be counted like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we have whole notes and half notes, let's try combining some bars with these 2 bar drills. Remember to play each drill round and round. So for the first one, we have 2 half notes for a bar and then a whole note. So we'll count that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can just play that round as a counting exercise. For the next drill, let's try whole notes and then 2 half notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Easy. Notice how I'm not using a metronome or a click for this. It's just to develop your own counting and internal clock. You don't want to feel any pressure from outside sources. This is just about looking at those rhythms, understanding what they are, and just learning how to count them. Next up, we have the quarter note, and this is the basis for our 4/4 time signature. Remember what I said about the time signatures? It's like a fraction, 4 quarters. So this is 4 quarter notes, and this is our main pulse. This rhythm is written as a filled oval with a stem. So with 4 quarter notes in a bar, we simply play on each beat like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And obviously, if it was at a slower tempo, 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously, all of this is based on relative to the tempo. So now we have a half note and a quarter note, we can try combining them with these next two drills. So first of all, let's just take a half note and then 2 quarter notes, which is going to be counted like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we go round and round, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we can try 2 quarter notes and a half note, which you count like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Simple. You'll notice that for each rhythm, we've halved the length of the previous one. So we half the whole note to get a half note, we half the half note to get a quarter note, and if we half the quarter note, we get an eighth note. And this is shown as a filled oval with a stem and a flag. So 1/8 note has a flag written like this, and then 2 or more eighth notes are connected with a beam. So we basically straighten up that flag and we count eighth notes as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So playing them while tapping the foot on each beat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So we're adding a count in between each beat. So again, for a full bar of 4/4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And it's important to keep counting with your foot on each beat. So the foot is on 1, 2, 3, 4 while you're playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That click there takes the place of the foot or the head nod or whatever you want to do. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And just as we combined the previous rhythms, we can now add the eighth note into the mix with our quarter notes and our half notes. So let's try some drills using various eighth note rhythmic cells. So for the first one, let's try quarter note and then 2 eighth notes. So we're going to count that as 1, 2 and. So for the full bar, 1, 2 and 3, 4 and. So you just read them along as you get to each beat, and you can see how when we write these rhythms in the music, it's all very segmented by beats. You can see the outlines of the beats as you work through the bar. The eighth notes are there connected by the beam. So 1, 2 and 3, 4 and. 1, 2 and 3, 4 and. Now let's try 2 eighth notes and a quarter note. So that's going to be 1 and 2. And then for the full bar, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Now let's try adding a half note in there. So first of all, let's try quarter note, 2 eighth notes and a half note, which we're going to play as 1, 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2 and 3, 4. And then we can try 2 eighth notes, quarter note, half note. So 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. Then let's try putting the half note at the start of the bar. So half note, quarter note, 2 eighth notes. 1, 2, 3, 4 and. 1, 2, 3, 4 and. And now half note, 2 eighth notes, quarter note. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. So remember, those drills are just to aid our counting of the rhythms. So you want to try each of those drills round and round. I know I only played them once through there, but just try them round and round, getting used to tapping the foot and counting out the rhythms. As you learn more about rhythms, you'll notice that it's a very organized mathematical system. And as you add more and more rhythms into your study, you'll become better at keeping your bearings within a bar. And you'll have a much better rhythmic accuracy and independence. You'll also improve your groove. So that's the basic rhythmic counting up to eighth notes, but there's also the dotted note to consider. Now, a dotted note lasts for 1.5 times the rhythm specified. Now, that might sound a bit complicated, but it's actually really simple, and you're best just learning to count them in isolation, to be honest. To get started, we'll look at a dotted half note. Now, a half note lasts for 2 beats. Half of 2 is 1, so we just add that 1 onto the 2 to get 3. So a dotted half note lasts for 3 beats, and to be fair, that dotted half note is just there to be able to specify we want a rhythm with 3 beats. So don't worry too much about the fact that it's half of a half note added on. Really, all you need to know is that it's worth 3 beats. So in a bar of 4/4, you can only have 2 rhythms using dotted half notes. You can have dotted half followed by a quarter, and quarter followed by a half note. So let's try those as rhythmic drills. So first of all, we've got the dotted half and a quarter, so we're going to count that as 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Try that round and round. Then we can try quarter, dotted eighth note. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Round and round. Next we can try the dotted quarter notes, and this is worth 3 eighth notes. So that gives us 2 rhythmic cells to consider. We can have a dotted quarter note and an eighth note, and an eighth note and a dotted quarter note. So when we count those, for the dotted quarter eighth note, we're going to have 1, 2, and. Okay, so just count on each beat with the foot, and you've got 1, 2, and. So we hit on the 1 and then on the and. And if we were starting on beat 3, obviously it'd be 3, 4, and. Okay, so that's the dotted quarter note eighth note. So as a rhythmic drill, we can try a full bar of dotted quarter eighth note. So that would sound like this: 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. Then for the eighth note dotted quarter note, we'll count the following: 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So that's the basic set of rhythms that we'll be using in the grooves of Module 2. And like I mentioned earlier, if you want a comprehensive deep dive into everything about rhythm writing, check out the Simple Steps to Sight Reading course at Talkingbass. That course goes far beyond anything that we can cover here and will take you from the absolute basics all the way through to advanced rhythm notation.